You better marry that girl, Matt.
Yeah, I think I will. When are you going to stop telling people what to do?
The man who rode tall across the silver screen hid thundercloud behind that famous grin. John Wayne, the Duke himself, carried a private ledger Grudges, and it was set in stone long before he drew his last breath. 5 names sat on that list, and each one cut him deep. How could the hero of every Saturday matinee hold such heat inside? Picture the towering hat, the gravel voice, the steady stride that spelled justice for half a century. Crowds saw a knight in denim. Yet in real life, Wayne judged people hard, spoke even harder, and forgave almost never. His belief in duty and country ran red, white, blue. When someone scraped that belief, he struck their name off his world forever. Some were actors chasing his crown. Some were bold young directors spinning new kinds of stories. All felt his chill glare once they crossed that unseen line. He split life into 2 neat boxes, right or wrong, love for the flag, or sneers at it. Slide into the wrong bin, and the Duke was done with you, no matter the applause you won elsewhere. Fans would have been shocked to hear the growl he saved for private letters. A polite handshake on stage could mask an iceberg beneath. He might smile during an award show, then later slam a door and vow never to meet that person again. Every feud felt like a frontier shootout to him. Bullets were words, yet the sting lasted a lifetime. Some clashes burst into headlines, but most smoldered in back rooms until they smelled of gunpowder. So who drew his sharpest ire? Strap in, because the first rival was none other than Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood. Just hearing that name could tighten Wayne's jaw. Eastwood stepped onto the scene with a cold stare and a whisper-thin voice that carried menace. Viewers loved the fresh edge he brought to Western towns, but Wayne saw danger at every turn. For decades, Wayne built the image of the noble cowboy. His heroes tipped hats, guarded children, and fought with a clear code. Then Eastwood arrived, playing gunmen who spat on rules and drifted through shades of gray. Wayne felt his sacred genre tipping off balance. The clash was more than age. It was a battle over the soul of the West. Wayne treated Western stories as flag-waving lessons in bravery. Eastwood painted them dirt brown, showing men who did ugly deeds for lonely reasons. Wayne shuddered at that bleak picture. Tension spiked when Wayne received the script for Dirty Harry. The lead was a cop who bent the law until it cracked. One look at the pages, and Wayne slammed them shut. He thought the story praised violence and crowned a reckless killer as hero. He turned the job down fast. Eastwood took it. The movie exploded at the box office, and Wayne felt the ground shift beneath his boots. As Eastwood turned hit after hit, Wayne's concern grew into outright dislike. He believed audiences were cheering cruelty dressed as courage. That felt like a betrayal of everything he had taught moviegoers for years. Eastwood did not seek a showdown. He reached for a handshake. He mailed Wayne a script titled The Hostiles, hoping the 2 giants could share the screen in one thunderous western. Imagine the posters. 2 legends shoulder to shoulder, rifles gleaming. But Wayne read the story and saw only dust and blood without honor. He fired a letter back, calling the script trash and accusing Eastwood of dragging the cowboy through mud. Rumor says Wayne later became so angry that he hurled another Eastwood script into the ocean. Waves swallowed the pages while Wayne's opinion stood unmoved. Eastwood stayed calm in public, never mocking his elder, yet he understood the partnership would never happen. The gulf between them was too wide and too deep. For fans, the loss felt cruel. They dreamed of a duel between tradition and rebellion under a blazing desert sun. Instead, they received silence. Wayne stuck to roles that kept his moral compass bright, while Eastwood continued forging darker paths and gathering trophies of his own. Their disagreement never melted into public shouting, but it stood firm as a fence line. Wayne rejected the changing face of Hollywood, and Eastwood embodied that change. The Duke's gate stayed closed. Now turned the camera toward another young phenom who aimed to shake the industry. Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg. By the late 1970s, this director had already terrified beachgoers with Jaws and sent viewers chasing UFO lights in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Studio bosses trusted him, critics cheered him, and crowds lined up around blocks. Yet when he approached John Wayne, he met a brick wall. Spielberg planned a wild comedy called 1941. The idea was to show Los Angeles spiraling into comic panic right after Pearl Harbor. Exploding Ferris wheels, dancing soldiers, and slapstick chaos filled the script. Spielberg thought adding Wayne would anchor the fun with a familiar wartime face. He sent an invitation straight to the Duke. The reply hit like cannon fire. Wayne was not only uninterested, he was offended. He read the pages and saw a disrespect toward a moment of deep national sorrow. Turning the grief of families into punchlines was, in his view, an insult that cut across the memories of every fallen sailor. He stamped the project anti-American and refused to appear for even a cameo. To Wayne, war films carried solemn duty. Comedy had no place near bloodstained history. Spielberg's bold experiment clashed headfirst with that rule, and there was no middle ground. Industry whispers claim Wayne lectured Spielberg about honoring sacrifice before slamming the phone down. Whether the talk happened exactly that way or not, the result was final. Wayne would not lend his name to the film. Spielberg pressed on, but the sting of the rebuff lingered among the crew. Wayne's stance sent a flash message through Hollywood. The old guard still held the flag high and would not sigh quietly as new voices mixed war and humor. Spielberg respected Wayne's position but kept chasing his vision, later scoring masterpieces that forever changed cinema. Meanwhile, Wayne added Spielberg to his private role of people he would never join on set. It was not petty anger. It was a Duke guarding what he believed America stood for. Why was Wayne so protective of the Western legend? Part of the reason lay in his own journey. He had risen from bit parts to global fame during an era when the film cowboy symbolized simple honor. Millions of children copied his slow walk and measured draw, believing that right would always win if a lone rider stayed true. Wayne felt responsible for guarding that dream. He often spoke to veteran groups and civic clubs, reminding them that cinema could lift hearts or poison them. To him, each ticket sold was equal to a small lesson taught. So when a new generation offered darker tales, he saw a threat to the national spirit he had helped to shape. Eastwood's Man with No Name carried a cigar stub and eyes of ice. He shot first and questioned never. Wayne worried that young viewers might confuse ruthlessness with bravery. He once told a friend the audience might leave theaters thinking selfish deeds were heroic just because the camera made them look cool. Likewise, Dirty Harry's memorable line about feeling lucky rattled Wayne. He believed real heroes respect a badge and follow the law even when it is hard. Celebrating a cop who bends every rule felt, in his eyes, like handing a loaded weapon to chaos. Wayne's criticism did not show jealousy over box office numbers. He remained a top draw throughout the 60s and early 70s. His objections centered on message. He wanted clear daylight between good and evil because he feared blurred lines would seep into living rooms and shape culture in ways no one could predict. When Wayne read The Hostiles, he noticed that the two main characters, one played by Eastwood and one by him, were scheduled to brawl through most of the runtime. The clash would end in a bloody stalemate instead of moral victory. That offended him greatly. In Wayne's worldview, a story had to reward virtue or it was empty. Spielberg's comedy plan upset him for similar reasons. Wayne had toured military hospitals during World War II and never forgot the faces of the wounded. Turning their anguish into slapstick felt cruel. He believed laughter over such memories would dull respect for history. Friends tried to mediate, suggesting Wayne take a mentor role on set to ensure tasteful tone. He declined, convinced that any film built on mock panic would cross a line no amount of oversight could pull back. Understanding these feuds helps us grasp the larger shift in entertainment during the late 20th century. Clark Gable and John Wayne towered over the golden age of film. Both men oozed charm muscle, and a screen glowed at packed theaters. Gable came from a rough Ohio start, but wore polish like a crown. Wayne hailed from Iowa Plains and moved with direct power. They mixed at Gallows Walk neighboring sound stages and swapped ideas in studio offices. Respect grew into friendship, and for a time, they seemed unbreakable. Wayne first saw Gable as a North Star. Gone with the Wind had made Gable royalty, and Wayne admired the sharp craft behind that smile. As Wayne's fame exploded, the two stars found common ground away from flashbulbs. They dined with shared friends, talked shop, and even dreamed of teaming up on screen someday. Both belonged to an era built on grit, loyalty, and a clear sense of self. Gable blended grace with grit. Wayne stood firm and plain-spoken. Their acting styles differed, yet they applauded each other. Gable leaned on classic training, while Wayne relied on raw presence. That gap never harmed the bond, until one set turned their world upside down. The crack appeared during the making of Magambo in Africa. Gable took the lead role under director John Ford, a man Wayne loved like family. Ford was famous for tough rules and loud demands. He pushed actors hard, often past comfort. On that hot location, Gable bristled. He felt Ford bully the cast and crew, and he said so in blunt words. Gable's complaints leaked beyond campfires into interviews back home. He believed he was fighting for fairness and pride. Wayne heard every word, and fire flashed behind his eyes. Ford had guided Wayne from bit parts to towering success. For the Duke, smashing Ford's name was like spitting on kin. Wayne blasted back both in private chats and public remarks. He told friends Gable had crossed a sacred line of loyalty. From that moment, friendship turned to frost. Gable was shocked that Wayne chose Ford over him so fast. He felt his criticism was just and thought Wayne would understand. Instead, doors slammed shut. The two icons never teamed up again. Invites stopped. Photographs of them together vanished. Hollywood often spins fast breakups, yet this one echoed louder because of who they were. Gable and Wayne were bigger than life symbols of a whole age. Their split exposed deeper clashing values. Gable prized fairness, even if it meant public critique. Wayne prized unshakable loyalty to his circle, even if friends made mistakes. Once Gable called out Ford, he stood outside Wayne's fortress forever. The Duke did not glance back. And now another headline figure enters the ring, a person whose feud with Wayne spun out of control even faster. Classic Hollywood once saw the chairman of the board face off with the Duke of the Wild West, and the fireworks started in a hotel hallway. Frank Sinatra oozed charm with that velvet voice and razor-sharp suit game. John Wayne stood taller than a desert butte, the living emblem of steady grit. They occupied separate galaxies, yet crashed together in the swinging 1960s, birthing a showdown fans still whisper about. The stage was Las Vegas, Sinatra's glittering playground and Wayne's temporary work camp. Sinatra thrived on neon nights full of songs, cocktails, and endless applause. Wayne stayed upstairs in the same star-studded hotel, hoping for quiet after hammering through long days on set. One late evening, Wayne tried to sleep, but the Rat Pack rhythm thundered through walls like stampeding mustangs. Music roared, glasses clinked, and laughter rattled chandeliers. At first, the Duke dug deep for patience, yet the party raged on until his fuse finally popped. He rang Sinatra's suite with a calm request: lower the volume. Silence lasted seconds before the beat thumped even louder, as though daring him to react. Wayne shoved on his boots, stormed downstairs, and knocked hard enough to rattle the doorframe. A guest cracked the door, and Wayne demanded, "Get Frank." No yelling, just flint-hard authority. Sinatra's bodyguards blocked the threshold like granite statues, warning Wayne to back off because, as one said, nobody talked to Frank like that. Wayne's reply was legendary. He backhanded the guard without blinking, a move that froze the entire room. Shock eclipsed the party vibe. Instead of charging, the guard stepped aside in stunned respect, and the suite fell quiet. Wayne marched back upstairs and, by witness accounts, slept like a baby for the rest of the night. The tale blasted through Hollywood the next morning. Reporters gasped over the boldness, while insiders nodded that it was pure Wayne. Yet the real twist came later, when the two men turned that flash of fury into genuine friendship. Wayne leaned conservative, solemn, and big on discipline. Sinatra leaned liberal, flashy, and fueled by nightlife. Despite contrasts, each respected the other's climb to the summit of fame, and loyalty bridged the gap. When Wayne battled stomach cancer years later, Sinatra and his wife sat by the Duke's hospital bed for days. That bedside vigil proved the Vegas clash had evolved into deep trust. A noise complaint had transformed into an unbreakable bond. Next up, Wayne locked horns with superstar not over hotel manners, but over thunderous political ideals. Marlon Brando refused to stay silent. He acted with explosive talent and spoke with equal force. During the 45th Academy Awards in 1973, Brando stunned the world by declining his Best Actor Oscar for The Godfather. Instead, he sent Sachin Little Feather in full Apache regalia to explain his protest against Hollywood's treatment of Native Americans. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some guests clapped, some booed, and tension flooded the stage. Backstage, John Wayne's blood boiled hotter than a branding iron. Witnesses claimed he tried to rush the stage in anger, needing several staff members to restrain him. Wayne believed awards night should celebrate cinema, not scold it. To him, Brando's act attacked the very industry Wayne adored and the patriotic stories he championed. Brando and Wayne shared no personal set quarrels, yet that explosive moment carved a canyon between them. Brando pressed on with activism, convinced artists must speak for justice. Wayne stayed firm that film should entertain while honoring America's legacy. Their rift symbolized a bigger storm shaking the country. As the 1970s unfolded, Wayne felt alien in a rapidly shifting landscape. Two vivid flashpoints revealed how wide the cultural chasm had grown. First, President Richard Nixon opened doors to China, a move Wayne railed against. He viewed talks with the communist power as surrender, not diplomacy, and even mailed Nixon essays that blasted Henry Kissinger's strategy. Meanwhile, Hollywood rebelled through films like Midnight Cowboy and Easy Rider. These raw stories ditched tidy morals and embraced gritty realism that younger crowds adored. Wayne dismissed them as un-American and perverted, dreading that they glamorized chaos over character. He was not lashing out at single actors. He bristled at a sweeping cultural tide he felt eroded everything he had stood for. Hollywood surged forward, yet John Wayne planted his boots and refused to march with it. So, which clash shocks you most? The hotel suite smackdown, the Oscar night fury, or the war over America's soul? Tell us below. Smash that like button and subscribe for more hidden Hollywood legends.